Good-sized crowd here inside the Paco Arena in Manila. Kantimbuhan with Marvin Hayes, Patrick Ramos, Kurt Lohera, and Mark Sarangay. Marvin Hayes, like a root veteran, continues to chip in, but you see the quarters scoring. The second and third periods, pretty much all Abra.
Wow. +6 in the production for Muntinlupa in that third quarter. But they let Abra score even more than what they had in the second period. So baliwala lang yung naging efforts doon ng Cagers on the offensive end.
37 points in the third. Lohera challenging Raven Gonzalez. Also two former teammates with Lasal.
Nag-abot ba sila?
Alam ko nag-abot sila eh. Di ba?
Parang hindi.
Di ba last year ni Kurt parang first year ni Raven? Anyway, si Puroy ay sa pool doon sa paggalaw ni Dave Ildefonso. So nag-abot si Kurt, saka sila CJ, saka si Joshua David. Gino Ludovice. Now his team down by 39 points. And it's been a free fall for Muntinlupa. 10-2, 11 straight losses, and not won in 3 months. Oh yeah. Inadvertent, but still an offensive foul.
And it's tough because I think tough even is going to be an understatement for the tragedies that Muntinlupa has experienced the past 2-3 months. Because they were on a 4-game winning streak before embarking on this 11-game losing streak of theirs. And everything was starting to look very hopeful para sa kanila. But then this losing streak happens, which most of their games they've lost by double digits. A lot of their losses in this 11-game losing streak, the main problem really has been their defense.
Yeah. They've really allowed teams like San Juan, Abra to score on them. Patrick Ramos at the line. This free throw brought to you by Extreme Appliances, ang subok at kompletong appliance brand ng Pilipinas.
And I think in that department, it's really important that you show the right attitude and the right body language on the court, because if your opponent sees that you are just continuously going to go through the motions in a 40-minute game, then a team as deadly as Abra, San Juan, Batangas, Jensan, Mindoro, all these teams that have won against them by double figures, Nueva Ecija, Pasay in this losing streak of theirs, plus Ilagan, madali lang talaga sila. Madali lang para sa kanila na tambakan sila dahil makikita nila na parang hindi sila handa.
Oo. At ngayon, lumobo na sa 40 points ang kalamangan ng Abra, 95-55. By the way, Dave Ildefonso just 1 point short of a triple-double and also notching his career high in assists. Ildefonso missing on a free. 9 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists for Dave. Kurt Lohera lays it in. Muntinlupa still behind by 38. Encho Serrano. 3 ulit galing kay Encho.
He's now just 5 points away from 1,000 points in the Mpbl.
Si Encho, no? He will be the 60th, right? Joined that club was Jan Hamon for Cebu. Marvin Hayes now at the line. Well, Dave also trying to, well, I'm sure he's more concerned with winning a championship, but his streak of 23 straight games of scoring in double figures on the line today. Just has 9 points. Yun nga, 11 rebounds, 10 assists. And Abra just dominating here. Still up by 40. Commissioner Kenneth Doremdes at the middle. In between Head of Operations Emerita, Head of Security Rudy Distrito. Ildefonso tracks down his 12th rebound. The pass outside, Mendoza, matik yan.
11 assists already in the game for the Sheriff.
Easily his career high here in the Mpbl. Marvin Hayes down low, lays it in.
One of the rare moments you will see Abra's defense with some holes in the middle.
Serrano spins away from the defense, lays it up and in, just 3 points away from entering the 1,000 point club in the Mpbl.
Yeah, they're really giving it to him. They want him to have it in this game.
They're looking for him. Serrano isolated up top against Patrick Ramos. Gonzalez offering the screen. Encho stepping on the line but can't hit the jumper. Foul will be given up by Redel Fabro. Hickser, great move off the game. Board for greatness.
That spin of his is real go-to move with the Encho Serrano. Since college, he has gone past defenses because of that twirl.
Two-time champion Encho Serrano with Pampanga now trying to extend his streak here with the Abra Solid North Weavers.
Now, if he does win it all for Abra this year, he might be just the only three-time Mpbl champion in history.
Well, I'm sure Archie Concepcion and the rest have something to say about that. They might just meet in the playoffs. Well, still a lot of things happening there, Javi, and that 4 to 7 spots where the teams are separated by just a game or half a game. Talking about Pangasinan, Pampanga, Caloocan, and Pasay.
It's really going to be very interesting, and as I mentioned during our pre-game, teams that have some spots to fight for are definitely going to be in a very heated race as you wind down our regular season. It's not just the teams that are trying to make the play-in, it's also those teams trying to get some very tactical positions at the top of their division.
Serrano just 1 point away from being part of the Mpbl's 1,000 point club. But how about Dave Ildefonso now checking out his first triple-double in the Mpbl and keeping that streak alive. 24 straight games, at least double digits in points para kay Dave.
That's crazy. What a streak that is para sa kanya. And that it just goes to show how much his hard work has paid off and how his discipline throughout this season and the work that he has put in has really come to fruition.
Serrano really going for it, but missed a couple of bunnies there. 107-62 rather, as Lohera drifting left was fouled on his way up. And man, again, Abra on the line here. Getting this win will formalize their entry into the playoffs alongside Nueva Ecija, because even if they lose the remaining games, Javi, nandun pa rin sila at the top 6 dahil nga 7 losses na yung mga aforementioned teams na nasa baba nila.
And they would really love to hold on to that number 1 spot because that means home court advantage throughout the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah. And they've been undefeated at home dating back to last season, 5-0. They've been pretty much difficult to beat in Bangued. We saw earlier this season worthy adversaries in Quezon and Pangasinan failing to beat them on their home floor. Baldo will pull up. Serrano the rebound. And finally, he gets into the 1,000-point club in the Mpbl. And he had to earn it, Javi.
He really did. Hindi lang basta-basta binigay sa kanya yun ng depensa. They were really expecting him to take a lot of the shots en route to his 1,000th point here in the Mpbl. A big congratulations to Enzo Serrano, extending his greatness here in the league.
And you love the smile on his face. And it really means a lot to him, having served multiple seasons here in the Mpbl. And it wasn't really a flowery start to begin his career here, but boy, two-time champion. And like you said, he has the chance to be the only three-time champion here in the Mpbl if it could help Abra win a championship.
A legendary already na maging rota dito ni Enzo Serrano if that really happens.
Ooh, 25 points just like that. Enzo Serrano. And it hasn't been an easy transition for him, Javi. Playing off the bench ever since that loss to Pasay. Something he wasn't used to do when he was with Pampanga. And lalo nagpasukan din sila Simon Camacho, Mike Ayonayon. A lot of guys playing his position, but when it matters the most, you can count on Encho. Especially, I remember that game against Pangasinan where the Heatwaves were knocking at the door, but Serrano was there to stymie the tide para sa Abra.
I think it was important for Coach Yong to make him realize that he still is a top-tier talent in this league, but they need him to supply or rather fill a different role with this team, because there is a lot of talent in this squad, no doubt about it. And I think kinailangan lang talaga maintindihan ni Enzo yung situation nila dito sa kanilang kupunan. And now, I think he's already embraced that in this game. Scoreless in the first two halves. 25 points all in the second half.
Wow. And alam mo, hindi lahat ng players capable of doing that.
It's very hard, honestly, in a 40-point game to score 20-plus points. And to do that in just 2 quarters is really amazing.
And also, hindi rin lahat ng players capable of taking a back seat. Special deal from One Expense, Canuck your code, and claim your special offer. Because you're a 2-time champion, you were an integral part of that championship run of the Giant Lanterns. And then you go into a new team. And of course, you have expectations for yourself. Then, after that loss nga against Pasay, he hasn't started since. But you saw how he loves playing for this squad, Javi. And kitang-kita the way he plays, the way he bonds with his teammates. You see it on social media, and boy, Enzo Serrano, he is on a verge. Well, of course, Nueva Ecija, San Juan, and the rest of the field have something to say about that. But, man, the prospects look good for him, adding another title to his collection.
I think it was such a painful decision for him to move on from a squad that is his home team, a squad that he won 2 championships with. But the opportunity to be in a squad that is still capable of winning a title, a squad that hasn't yet won an Mpbl championship, was too hard for him to pass up on.
111-66. Baldo, another homegrown, he got fouled. Boyet Ocampo. J-Boy Cobb will head back to the bench. Now Muntinlupa. The question now for them, their 12th straight loss. And Javi, the road doesn't get any easier for them. After this one, they have Caloocan, Basilan. That's gonna be a crucial game for them, that Basilan game. Although Basilan is already at the moment number 6, and then you have Rizal and Quezon, all teams above 500. And they desperately want to cling on to that play-in spot, that 9th and 10th spots. Although Imus mahirap din yung schedule, Sarangani a bit, Davao, but the race to those 9th and 10th spots is gonna be tricky for Muntinlupa from here on out.
Yeah, they can't afford to lose their next game. So it's really gonna be a tough situation for them if they do, because losing more games would entail them having to rely on the losses of the other teams that are stacked with them at the bottom of the South Division para malaman ng kanilang kapalaran. But if they do still want to control their destiny, they're gonna have to win their next few games, their last remaining games, if I may, because their loss here will bring them down to 10 and 14, which makes them just 2 games or 2 losses above the Cebu Grades, who are also making a push, and that also puts Davao closer to them with just a game ahead.
Yeah. Well, they did beat Cebu and Davao Occidental, but they lost to Sarangani. They also beat Imus, so at least if ever there's a tiebreak, they have that advantage. But again, like you said, Baldo knocks down a free, much to the delight of the Abreños, their very own. Again, just going back to Muntinlupa, kailangan kumayad sila to grab at least 1 or 2 victories. Oh, Baldo! Basket plus the foul. How about that?
And his teammates, the bench, the coaching staff, they're absolutely loving it. Nabarkar showing some token defense before fouling him. Did not really give him a lot of resistance there. Baldo just making the most out of his opportunity in this game. He's gotten a lot of minutes here in the 4th.
Harvey Baldo, 11 points, all in the 4th quarter. 125-70. Yeah, Muntinlupa, they don't want to face that precarious position of being number 1 at one point in the season in the South, and now in danger of missing the play-in altogether. And they really need to dig deep here and find whatever could work for them moving forward, because those teams I've mentioned, all certainly no pushovers, all contenders in their respective divisions.
Tama ka dyan. Kaya naman itong Muntinlupa, they're gonna have to reassess themselves, because hindi na ito bago para sa kanila. It's been happening over the course of the past few months. Again, yung kanilang huling panalo it came last April, or May rather.
Yeah.
They started to lose June 2 against Pangasinan. Tuloy-tuloy na yan. And there's no other time than now for them to look back, sit back and think about kung ano ba talaga yung naging problema nila. Obviously, the defense is there, but I think there has to be a change in the attitude, a change in how the players conduct themselves on the floor. Importante nga, sa simula pa lang ng mga laro, naiintindihan na nila yan, so that they carry that into the next parts of the game. Because as you saw earlier, Abra, they were able to get a strong start before Muntinlupa finally got themselves together, but it was not sustained. And so Abra took advantage of it once again, and they never looked back.
Yeah, they could look back to that first quarter where they made their run at the tail end of the first period. And they did something good during that stretch, but ever since,